Good evening, everybody. It is wonderful to see all of you here. We are live streaming, so I want to say welcome to all those that are watching or will be watching later. Please know that when you get home, feel free to share this. It'll be on the YouTube channel. As I had said earlier, I'm Pastor Beth Ann. It is wonderful to see all of you here for one of the worst days of my life because I have to have a farewell concert for Doug. He said he's going to play the piano or something like that. But after 3 decades of being the creative worship director here, I think he's earned retirement, don't you? Just a little bit. Yeah, no, I know, I agree. I said no, we don't agree. But Doug.
She was booing me back here.
Well, we love you. And we don't want you to go. However, we know that you have earned this retirement. So come on and do what you do best.
Thank you. So, as I was finishing up my time teaching at New Richmond High School, I wrote the spring musical in 2014, and the last song was the closing song for that. So, when I first went to music school, I went as a tuba major, and my tuba teacher said I was thinking too much like a tuba player. And imagine that. Says that I needed to focus more into melodies. So for 4 years, my tuba book was the Arbin's Method for Trumpet. And for 4 years, I read treble clef, down 2 octaves and all that stuff. And what I found was that I had a very big desire to play melodies. And I had not had that much experience. So as I've gotten older, I have found that the simplicity of a nice melody takes me a long way. So the first melody in this group is the Ashokan Farewell. It was written in the 80s, but it was written for Ken Burns' The Civil War and was supposed to sound like it had been around for 200 years. It's an amazing melody. Several years ago, one of my dear friends, Paul Shook, passed away. Paul Shook's son, Steve, is a professional violinist and folk singer up in the New England area, and I contacted him a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to play one of his melodies. And then recently, in the last movie that I did, I wrote a melody that is a folk song type melody. So I'd like to do those 3 folk songs. Thank you. Thank you. You'll notice that even though I have all this stuff up here, I don't look at it very often. These are kind of my hints. I'll improvise the whole concert, but I use certain things like, hey, by the way, this song is in this key. Oh, that's cool. And so I have that up there. It is easy for musicians to fall into ruts. You do the same things over and over again. So the two hardest songs tonight are the two songs that I've wanted to play, and I learned particularly for this concert. And here is one of them, I think. Oh, yeah, it is, in fact. So one of my favorite movies in the world is Interstellar. If you have not seen it, it's a thinking movie, but it's a brilliant movie. And the main song was written by Hans Zimmer. And the story goes is that the producer and director got together and told him how they wanted to feel, but wouldn't tell him the movie was about space. Just that he needed a theme that conveyed this. Here's the song that they wrote. It's designed so that I don't release the pedal, so everything will meld into it. Thank you. Ooh, I like this next one. So I've told the story before that I was a tuba major in my undergrad, but I knew what I wanted to do was write music and write stories. I was considering it something you could do for a living. And so in order to do that, I had to really get skills. So I would lock myself into the piano practice rooms and spend hours in complete darkness. So that way, if I knew one note, that's a G, that's a D, that's a B flat, that's a B flat, that's a B natural, F sharp. And so I was able to know exactly where everything was. So when you graduate with a degree in music, you have to do a piano proficiency. And my piano, I tested out of piano at CCM, so that meant I got to take lessons. And my piano teacher didn't know that I knew how to improvise. So when it came to the proficiency, I played. That's all it took. So I passed. That's the way I told her I knew how to improvise. This morning, today, I'd like to play for you the theme to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, the Ode to Joy. And then I'm going to run through a cycle. And here's what I have written down. Here are the things I'm going to do. So here we go. Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. honestly, most of that was the original Beethoven. I just took a little bit of liberty. Just saying. Oh, yay, this is fun. All right, so as you know, at most of my concerts, I make you work. So let me go through the rules. You should all have pencils in front of you. You have to assume that the person next to you is lying to you. So you either have to tell them the answer or write it down. I am going to now play 11 songs, one from every decade, from 1900 to the 2000s. On your program, you have a place to write the title. During intermission, you need to go find somebody with a different demographic as you to find out the generations you don't know. All right? So you can't shout it out, but you can tell the person next to you, and that's the only way you can prove you're not cheating. You know, if you cheat in a recital, honestly, it's very sad. It's sad. So if you start to sing it on Lou or Ooh or something, because almost every song up till 1960, the name of the song is the first words you say. Like, I love camels. What's the name of the song? I love camels. See, I heard you sing that. All right, so here we go. I'll list the decade, and then you can write the answer down or turn to the person next to you if you think that they're moderately trustworthy. All right? For some of you, I'd write it down. All right, so here it is. This is the song. I even have a little bit of clue. I talk a little bit about who wrote it and why it was written. So here we go, 1900s. So write it down if you know it. You can talk to people around you. Who got that one? Okay, we got some. All right. Remember, during intermission, I'm not going to tell you answers till after intermission, so you have time to cheat. All right, here we go, the 1910s. I didn't actually know this one until I had a certain parental unit say this is the one I should pick. to that before. Yeah, I'm not surprised. These are the rowdy kids over here. All right, 1940s. Did you do better on that one? All right. Good, 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 good. I believe that you could actually sing this one. I do not believe the title of the song from the 50s is in the text. So you could be okay on this one. That was the 50s. All right, we're now in the 60s. You can't sing this, though. Look, see, I know, it's almost like, oh, hey, kids, don't touch the candy while I'm gone. I'm telling you, you can't sing this. I don't know why I even told you that, because you're going to sing it anyway. $1860? See, you thought you were that quick. Here we go, the 70s. Here we go. You can't sing this one either because the title's like half the words. 1970s, 1980s. '90s. And the last one, the year 2000s. The farther you live out in the country, the better chance you'll have of getting this one. So you city folk, good luck with this. All right, so you have officially taken the test for this concert. We're going to have a small intermission. There's some snacks out there. You can pick some merchandise up from Diane at the merch table. There's a sign-up sheet. I am going to be sending out to my fan club a new song via the email every month, starting in June. So if you want to get a free song from Beagle Train, just sign up and do that. And you may go and seek information from other people to fill out your test. But you can't ask me and you can't pay people to steal my music. You can't come up here. Tina, let me know if anyone sneaks up here, because the answers are right here. You know what? I'm taking it with me. I don't trust this group. Honestly, I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes. Oh, absolutely. Did Connie help you through? There we go. How are you? So how many did you get so far? How many of the songs did you guess? How about that? Sounds great. So the first song of the second half, I was not really familiar. I was familiar with the movie, but not the song as much. And I played it at a funeral recently. Was, first of all, amazed that John Williams wrote it. And secondly, the melody is so haunting. It is the theme from Schindler's List by John Williams.
Rachel's watching online. She said, proud of you, Dad.
Ooh, yay. I like that. Thank you. For all the cool things that I picked out for the concert, this next song is the most ordinary of them all. I think it's easy on a piano to overplay things or underplay them. It's hard to find that. The touch sensitivity is really something that I love very much. It might be a control issue. It might be the ability to connect into a passionate phrase or a melody. So this next song is from Sunset Boulevard by Andrew Lloyd Webber. You can hear a few things in the melody that are very Phantom of the Opera-ish, that there are a few patterns and motifs inside the melody. I have enjoyed this. This is the kind of music that if I just need to relax after a day, this is a fun type of music to play. So here we go. As If We Never Said Goodbye. Thank you. I absolutely love movies, particularly about either the Civil War or World War II. I will watch them over and over again. Saving Private Ryan I probably watched it 20 times. There were 3 different series that turned out to have significantly amazing main themes. One of them, The Pacific, was supposed to be written by Alan Silvestri, and he couldn't meet the deadlines, and he called Hans Zimmer up and said, Hans, I need help. So Hans and his 8 composers in his studio, like in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, wrote the entire rest of the soundtrack to The Pacific. So this next group of 3 songs, the first one is from the Band of Brothers, which I think is a 10-part miniseries about World War II and Easy Company. The second one is from the movie, the large movie Gettysburg. And the third one was from the series The Pacific. All of them have this epic type feel. I've talked to you about colors and the fact that I hear colors when I play. The Civil War one was in the wrong color, so I have moved it into a blue. So it's interesting, from the movie, 2 of the 3 were in colors I was okay with. And for that one, I moved it from a yellow to a blue. So for those who are keeping track. Thank you. Most pieces written for choir work best for choir, but this next piece has taken on a life of its own. It's now played by orchestras and bands, and I'm going to play it as a piano solo. The piece is called Alleluia by Ralph Manuel. I taught it with the high school that I taught in several times, and it's just every time, it is just a beautiful way to write a great crescendo. And for those who know of my affinity for the golden ratio and Da Vinci, the crescendo of the song hits exactly at the golden mean, at 67%. So the song is just a brilliant composition. Hope you enjoy it. Alleluia. Thank you. It's kind of interesting. There are very few things in the world that I'm afraid of. But the number one worst thing, if you know me, is I am terrified of clowns. Those beady little eyes and that big red nose, they're up to something. So it's very unfortunate that one of the most beautiful songs ever written for Broadway theater has a clown in it. So I'll be able to play beyond that. I want to let you know. I can do that. This is Sending the Clowns from A Little Night Music, and it is a masterful way to write a melody. It's a masterful way. So here we go. Thank you. So I had told you earlier in the concert that it's good for musicians to try new things. This is probably the hardest song I've done in a concert here. It's the theme from Pirates of the Caribbean. It's fast and loud and changes keys, and it's also 3 against 2 all the way through. So the rhythm is interesting. Let me get a drink of water and I'll play it for you. And if you can think of pirates while I do this, it's going to be great. Thank you. Well, I hope you've had a good time tonight. It's just been a beautiful evening. I'm so glad you guys could come out. I have one more song to play for you. The story goes that about 20 years ago, one of our church members passed away. The Sunday before, the last thing that her husband had heard was me play Just a Closer Walk with Thee. And then he passed away 2 days later. I wasn't able to get away from school, so they made a recording, and it was the first time we had used a recording on a recording system for a funeral. So one of the other church members said, "That's my husband's my favorite song." And so for their anniversary, every year for the next 15 or 16 years, I snuck the song in to the service at their anniversary. And I assume no one knows who I'm talking about because they asked that it was just a song I did. So I thought that for my final song tonight, I would do Just a Closer Walk with Thee. Hope you enjoy. thank you so very much. Thanks for coming out tonight. We hope you had a good time at the concert. Thank you. Thank you very much.